Welcome to Moose Court, landlord-tenant with Judge Middleton. And today we got an interesting one. It's a squatter that's being evicted. And this guy just goes on and on about nothing to do with the case. So let me know what you think in the comments, and here it is.
We're going to address some landlord-tenant cases. The first matter is Larry Jackson versus Scott Widener, 25572. This is a termination of tenancy case. You're Larry Jackson.
Correct.
And Mr. Widener is in your house on South River Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is there a lease?
No.
And you contend that he's a squatter and he's there without lawful authorization.
Yes.
And you want him to move?
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
All right. Mr. Widener, you were talking about getting some financial assistance to pay the rent. He's not asking you to pay the rent. He's simply asking you to move out.
I wasn't looking for that for money assistance. They told me to look for housing assistance.
Oh, okay. How did you come to be there?
I parked a camper there. That's where I started squatting. I got a camper. And then we had an agreement for me to demo the house and garage because they were caving in, the tree fell on them, etc.
Well, you told me about that. I
Yeah.
drove by there. It looks like the whole place is already collapsed and your camper don't look too good. So is your camper still there?
Yeah, it's off to the side. Camper's is good. So I took down the garage. There's very little of that left. There's a few piles, like probably 20 garbage cans full yet to fill and dump. They're getting dumped at the gas station and the liquor store that I'm doing work for them, so they allow me to dump that. But the house came up to the living room, which was good. Yet, no damage there. So we saved that. He said I could keep that because it's on a trailer frame and I could tow that out of there. So I canceled my storage in White Pigeon and I put my stuff in there and I kept like 20 feet of the frame connected and I rebuilt some of the back and put in like a kitchen and a bathroom. So it's hooked up to a septic. So I was living in that, what you would call a tiny home, but Mike Hayden said they don't allow tiny homes. But it don't matter because
Yeah, they don't. And probably all that stuff was done without a permit.
well, if you do under 200 square feet, you didn't need a permit, and I didn't do no electric, so there's nothing really to.
Well, is this camper hooked up to electricity?
It's not. I'm not in the camper.
Or you're in the house?
I'm in.
Who's paying the electric bill?
He was going to pay the electric bill for work being done. I offered to help or to pay it or put it in my name, and he said no because you're doing the work.
Well, they wouldn't let you probably rent this property in the condition that it's in. Mr. Widener, you're going to have to move. The law requires that I adjourn this at least 7 days. So let's look at the calendar for next Friday.
I was moving the axles up forward because it's smaller now. And I found a welder yesterday to.
The law says that as of that hearing, you would have 10 days to move or be subject to being evicted. So next Friday, May 2nd, we'll have a second hearing. If you're not vacated by then, I will say you have 10 days to move. So essentially, Mr. Widener, you have until May 12th.
I am looking to move. I'm looking for a place to put this tiny home. We're going to re-weld the axle on. He said I could have that and haul it out of there. Otherwise, I was to demo it down. But since it was like a portable storage unit.
So yeah, they won't let you rent that. So you're going to need to move that and your trailer.
Well, the trailer's ready to go. The house, like I said, I just found a welder person yesterday, but there's no electric to plug it into. So either I asked the neighbor, but once we get the axle on, we're looking into, either I got somebody to haul it, he's out in Colin, or we were gonna rent like one of those little dump trucks from Home Depot to hook it up. He needs
Well, you
something
gotta
powerful.
find someplace to put it.
This is true, but if you keep it as a storage unit, not to live in, I mean, I could take my camper to, like a campground or a park or something, but the tiny home, you could just say it's a storage unit.
How about if you move it somewhere out of St. Joe County, then I won't have to deal with it.
Your friend on Long Lake said the other side of the street is another county that has no ordinances.
Yeah, that's Cass County,
Okay, well.
and I don't know what their ordinances are there, but
He mentioned.
yeah, that'd be a
something
great plan.
different.
All right, we're gonna reconvene next Friday at 1:40 in the afternoon. And you would get 10 days from that day to move or be subject to being evicted. So
What
that
does that
gives you
mean, subject to
17
being
days
evicted?
to try to
We
get
knew
this.
this was that I wasn't gonna be there forever. That he was being nice to let me stay there through the.
Well,
winter
that's
and such.
what comes to this. This hearing is a hearing to help people to move when they wouldn't otherwise do it. So you got till May 12th. May 12th is a Monday. Let's see where we are when we reconvene next Friday. All right, you're both good to go. Thank you. All right, we'll see you next week. Oh, our next matter is,
What, next Monday at
no,
1?
next Friday. They'll send you a notice, but it's Friday, May 2nd at 1:40.
Second at 1:40. Second at 1:40, I will write that down.
All right, now our next matter is Monroe Learn versus Jamie Risty.
So the judge hears one more case, and then the squatter comes back after doing his paperwork and has questions. And again, he goes on and on and on.
Mr. Widener, what's your question?
When you say we come back next week, then 10 days, then you're what? Then you're.
Writ of eviction.
Yeah, which means you said they can come and put your stuff out,
Yes.
but it's not in his house. He gave me what was there that's why I said it's like a storage unit. So
Well, all they're gonna do is get your stuff out of there.
if all that's there is mine, but they don't have to take it out of the house because the house is mine now.
Well, I don't know about that. There has to be some sort of if it's on a frame, it may need to have a title. And if he acknowledges that it's yours, then maybe he won't care. But I don't want to discuss it further without him being here.
Okay, because he says a lot of things different. Like yesterday, he stopped by and we were talking.
Well, again, I'm not supposed to talk to just one side at a time. So we can discuss it next Friday when both of you are here.
Because I offered to pay his taxes to leave it there, like to rent the property. Oh, I don't know if you're.
Well, if I were you, I wouldn't pay anything. I'd work on getting the
I
stuff out
am
of there.
working on getting out of there.
All right, very
That's
good.
like everybody, it's a process to get somewhere.
All right.
Okay, try it.
So the follow-up hearing was May 2nd. I'm going to skip the part where the plaintiff essentially explains that he was a squatter and he needs to be evicted. And we'll pick it up with the squatter, who again goes on and on and on, much to the frustration of Judge Middleton. Here it is.
So, Mr. Widener, how'd you come to plop your stuff down on this guy's piece of property?
It was just, I've noticed it before that it was vacant for umpteen years and I had nowhere to go, so I parked the camper in there.
All right, well, you are a squatter, so.
Yes, it was.
You
And
got
then-
12 days to vacate. You can take the thing off there if you wish to, but you don't have to.
Well, that being, like I said, that's a hard to move, not hard to move it, but to find a place to put it.
They're not
That's why
gonna
I
let you,
checked
they're
the
not gonna let
Texas.
you cite that anywhere. It's a dilapidated, non-code compliant trailer if you're gonna try to live in it.
No,
No township here that would let you do that.
that's what you gotta go to Cass County or
Yeah,
that.
Indiana or something, I don't know,
But as just a storage, because I emptied my storage from White Pigeon Storage,
mhm.
shut that down and built shelves in this section of what's left of the house. So it's basically a storage unit.
Well, this is your own fault. You just squatted on a piece of property. You did all this stuff. He's been asking you to move for months. And now I'm gonna order that you do it within the next 10 days.
Well, that's fine, but the one thing I was looking to do while I checked on the taxes is I offered to pay the taxes.
Well, he can't accept any money from you in light of the fact that he's wishing to terminate the tenancy. So he doesn't want you to pay anything right now. He just wants you to move.
I can move, or I will
Okay.
move, but if I can leave the building as a storage, they said the taxes now were like $425. If it was totally empty, it would be $182. And I said, with what I took down, he goes, is the garage gone? I go, yes. And half the house or more is gone. He says it's $225, but it cannot be assessed for at least 2 to 3 months. So I wanted to pay the taxes if we could leave the building sit there while I find a place to put it, but not live there.
He's not interested in that. All right, you have 10 days till May 12th to vacate. If you take the property off there, you work out some agreement with him, fine. But at minimum, you gotta get your trailer off there and not reside on that property.
That I can, like I said, the camper's ready to go. It's just the stuff in the house. Because I emptied out of storage and was using that as a storage.
Well, which is quite presumptuous. You didn't own the property and you weren't paying any rent. And now
That's why we were working, I did the work in place of the rent. We had an
Well,
agreement for that.
again, nothing, but all you brought is grief on him. Now the zoning administrator's after him. There's not supposed to be anybody living there. There's no septic functioning in that spot or well.
Yeah, there is.
Well, there's a functioning well and septic?
Yeah,
Are you hooked up to the
Yeah.
septic?
yes.
Well, you
It's-
can't do that either. So, all right, you got 10 days to get your stuff out of there. I'm gonna ask the court officer to take you out. And, if he agrees to let you take that other property or do something with it, that's all right with me, but that's outside the province of my order. You just have to vacate within 10 days.
Okay.
Wow. Just wow. I don't know what else to say. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching the video.